You know what? I like beat-em-up games. They're so simple and primal. A lot of them lack variety, but I still enjoyed them. And when you ask people about what some of the best old beat-em-up games are, people often say the usual suspects. Double Dragon, the X-Men arcade game, any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, etc. My personal favorites are the often forgotten Capcom Dungeons & Dragons games, but now they're available for download on 360 and PS3, and my god, they are glorious. And aside from the really good ones, I played a lot of lesser known, more obscure beat-em-up games. They're not completely unknown, but people really don't talk about them a whole lot. Like Captain America and the Avengers. There's a 4-player arcade version, but I rented the Super Nintendo version a lot as a kid. There's also a Nintendo and a Sega Genesis version, but I never played those. And everything about this game should be sweet! You can play as Captain America, Iron Man, and Hawkeye! Freaking Hawkeye! Vision is a character too, but let's be honest here. There ain't nobody who wants to play as Vision. And good god, this game is hard! It's so hard to not get hit by things. You know how in most games, when you get hit, you get that flashing and vulnerability thing for a few seconds? Well, this game figured enemies should get that too. Now I know how they feel. Being a bad guy sucks. Plus, every time you get hit and knocked over, no matter who you're playing as, they say this. Oh! That is hilarious. Oh! With how hard this game is, you'll be hearing "No!" quite a bit. And that's why the best thing to do is to play as Iron Man. All the characters are different in this game. Hawkeye's punches suck, but he can shoot really fast. Captain America's shield can hit people on the way back. Vision, who gives a shit, and Iron Man can do this. Yep, this is how you win. This game isn't very good. Maybe it's better on the Nintendo or Genesis, but the Super Nintendo version isn't great. I can only get to the second stage of the game, but I have beaten it in the arcades, when it was on free play. This is another pseudo beat-em-up I rented a lot, King of Monsters 2. It was a Neo Geo game that they ported onto the Super Nintendo. The first one is more of a wrestling game. It had 4 different monsters, and you basically wrestle inside of cities in these weird energy walls. It's purely a versus game. It was lame. For whatever reason, the second one is a cooperative beat-em-up, sort of. The monsters were still fighting, but suddenly, aliens. There's a boss in every stage, and fighting them harkens back to the wrestling style of the first King of Monsters. Only now they have a life bar and you can kill them instead of pinning them. But the whole game is cooperative. There was still a versus mode, but really who cares? Between boss fights, you move forward, collect power-ups, and punch smaller aliens until they explode. The stages themselves are stupidly short. Like, this underwater one, you can get to the end in like 20 seconds. In fact, you can pretty much ignore almost every enemy that shows up. Unless you want, those sweet, delicious points. The characters you can play as are pretty cool themselves, and they play drastically different in their attacks, so your choice actually has some influence. There is Cyber Woo, a robo-gorilla who can shoot rockets from his back and has crazy eyes. There's also Astro Guy, who is, he's got a nice butt. And there's Super Gion. He might be the coolest. One of his grapples is biting the hell out of whatever he's grabbing, and it looks gruesome and fantastic. He also has 2 special attacks. One is breathing fire on people, and the other is growing his horn tenfold, ripping it out of his skull, and then using it to stab people. This is what we in the business like to call fucking hardcore! The game's geography always seemed a bit off. Oh, we're going to the Grand Canyon. Then why are we in Los Angeles, California? And, why is Mount Rushmore here? At least dying was pretty cool. Another beat-em-up I really enjoy, but I swear it gets overshadowed by every other Dreamcast game out there, is this one, Zombie Revenge. This game is sweet. You run around, punch zombies, kick them, and shoot guns. You could argue if it's actually a beat-em-up, since you almost always have a gun you can use, but unlike the arcade version, the Dreamcast had a special hand-to-hand mode. It made the damage of guns pitiful, and your hands are supercharged. You can take down bosses in just a few hits. You can also combine different buttons for different attacks, charge up gunshots, and pick up extra weapons. Basically, everything a beat-em-up needs. It also has a versus mode, but it's, stupid. Something I gotta point out. The main character's name.
Stick Brightling.
Stick Brightling. Stick Brightling. Holy God! How has this man not joined the ranks of character names trying way too hard to sound cool, right alongside Edge Maverick and Jet Brody? This game was also out during the days of House of the Dead, and Zombie Revenge has just the same quality of lovable voice acting.
Are you alright?
This place is gonna explode in 3 minutes.
What happened here? Zed, show yourself.
Are we still following this guy?
He's the one making the zombie. To catch him, we have to follow. Let's go.
Its lip syncing is so good that it makes the old Godzilla movie stereotype look impeccable.
What?
Brilliant. For all these weird beat-em-ups I've played in my time, the one I remember most fondly is one of the more obscure and harder to find games for the Super Nintendo. It's one I rented all the time as a kid, and that was Sonic Blast Man. And by that I actually mean I rented Sonic Blast Man 2. Sonic Blast Man 1 kinda sucks. You play as Sonic Blast Man, a generic hero being from far away who came here to protect Earth. The gameplay is just so slow. You walk at a snail's pace and you have to beat way too many dudes before you can move on. At least you attack quickly, and you have different finisher punches depending on how you press the directional pad. You know how these games have some sort of clearing move that hits people all around you? Sonic Blast Man jumps and spins around like an idiot, and then he gets dizzy from it. His own special move tuckers him out. He also has a second screen clearing move. It's called the D-Punch. He punches the ground with 100 metric tons of force, and everyone gets hurt somehow. And much to our disappointment with the D-Punch, he does not punch a dude square in the dick. I am all for video games using comic book style onomatopoeia, but BAGOOM? Unlike Final Fight, Blast Man can't pick up any cool weapons to bludgeon or stab people with. Because of that, the gameplay feels super stale very quickly. Some of the grapple throws are funny to watch. He doesn't even look like he's grabbing them. He looks more like he's consoling them through tough life decisions. Times have just been tough, man. I'm so sorry for causing so much hurt, man. Fear not, citizen. I forgive you. Really? It's the sequel that I played the most, though. In fact, I never even played Sonic Blast Man 1 until I was working on this video. And it's boring. And it's stupid. But hey, the sequel is way better! Sonic Blast Man 2 is actually 2 players instead of 1, and it adds in 2 more playable characters. Alongside Sonic Blast Man, you have Captain Choyer and Sonya. Captain Choyer moves slower but hits like a dump truck, and Sonya is much more agile but doesn't do as much damage with each hit. What is it with beat-em-ups always making the female characters the fast but weak ones? You know what? I can't overlook this anymore. The character designs are stupid. They're like Saturday morning cartoon characters created specifically to sell toys, only to never get a cartoon. Or toys. Look at Sonic Blast Man! He's wearing a stupid hat, an ascot, goggles, boxing gloves, and his chest piece has a clock in it. It's like the designer mashed everything from his attic into a single character. I'm pretty sure I can dress up as a better character using whatever stuff is in my closet. In fact... Fear not, citizen, I shall protect you, for I am... embarrassed. The gameplay was sped up a lot more in this one. You move faster, attack faster, you can dash, and do a dodge roll. There's also a heavy attack now that you can use with combos and grapples. You're fighting alien invaders this time, which means there are more enemy types. The designs of the enemies themselves are boring, though. They're uninspired, generic alien-type robot dudes. The bosses don't fare much better. Mega Man called. They want their robot back. Hey, remember that D-Punch attack from the first game? Well, it's back, only now you can power up a normal attack to throw energy, fire kick, or zappy hand. Or you can use more energy to do the screen-clearing attack. Captain Choyer uses lightning, Sonya uses fire, and Sonic Blast Man still punches the ground. Only now, he says this.
I'm fighting for freedom!
I love it. It's amazing. He says this every time. Hey, Blast Man, I'm gonna go get groceries. What are you doing?
I'm fighting for freedom!
Oh, well then what are you up to Saturday night?
I'm fighting for freedom!
Really? Ike, what do you fight for?
I fight for my friends.
Captain America, anything to add? No! Alright then. I really don't have much to add about this one. Sonic Blast Man 2 is a pretty good beat-em-up that gets frequently overlooked. It's not one of the best ever, but I like it. Beat-em-ups was a great genre that really flourished in the 90s thanks to Final Fight and the Super Nintendo, and all of the games that I just talked about are ones that are still worth playing. Well, except for Captain America. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook for more updates, and to subscribe to me on YouTube and equip my channel on normalboots.com. And if you're in the mood to watch something else, be sure to watch my video on the worst console ever.